We should be starting very soon, and 9-ball is off. Nine-ball starting down City Escape. This stage is an interesting one. It's the first Sonic stage of the run, as detailed by the blue emblem. You start off on what's pretty much a snowboard going down a diagonal road. There are these little ramps that you can do tricks off of, and it's a lot faster to do a trick off of it than to not. If you fall off, you actually lose about 5 seconds, which is a huge time difference. But neither of these runners should have much problem with that. They're pretty standard. The timing's pretty lenient as well. It's just one of those things that can really add time to your run. But Sonic has some pretty basic controls. He has a somersault, a spin dash, and a homing attack. Now, when you see the little blue aura around Sonic and he jumps and propels himself forward, he gets a little bit of extra speed. You can also do something called a homing attack cancel, where your character is sent a little bit farther, but no longer can homing attack on enemies. And actually, both of these runners, they attempted to go for one of the most difficult skips in the game, but it's so early on in the run that most of the top players have they reset over and over and over again to find it. Unfortunately, they're not granted this luxury in a race setting. But they're coming up to one of the first... This is an interesting jump right here, where you avoid hitting those springs on the bottom. It sounds like it's a lot less of a time loss than it is to hit them, but both of these players avoiding, so it's nice. 9-ball going down the first instance of grind rails in the game. Sonic has soap shoes that allow him to grind on rails for extra speed. And this grind rail section can be a little bit tricky if you're not able to land on the rails as quickly. 9-ball going down the truck section, Tylenol now joining him. Basically, the point of this section is you want to stick to the ground as much as possible. As you can see, both players in ball form for most of this section, because you are a lot more likely to stick to the ground while you're in ball form. 9-ball coming to a nice 2:02 on City Escape. Not bad at all. Tylenol coming in 7 seconds behind him. And we have ourselves a race. Coming up is the first boss fight of the run, Bigfoot. There are 2 different strategies that you can use on this fight, but I'm sure we'll see both of them going for the front box strategy, in which there are 4 crates around the map, and the cockpit of Bigfoot is their weak point. So you can't jump just from the ground up to their cockpit. You have to jump on a box. And as you can see, 9-ball goes for the front box to do the more difficult of the 2, but definitely the one more used by top runners, in which you somersault after landing on the ground to jump on the top left crate to jump on the cockpit as fast as possible. And you can see Tylenol doing the exact same strat. It's a pretty optimized boss fight. Both of these runners with solid Bigfoot times. This run does not have any of the Chaos 0 through 6, but it does have artificial Chaos enemies on some of the later stages, so look out for those. Wild Canyon is the first RNG stage. This stage is entirely RNG, but in the top level, the execution really does shine through. So, the players playing as Knuckles read little hint TVs so that they can find out where emerald pieces are scattered throughout the run. So basically what ends up happening is RNG determines where these 3 emerald pieces are, and the players read one hint monitor just to find out approximately where each piece is. A lot of the players have a great amount of the pieces memorized and can just make it from piece to piece very quickly. 9-ball getting into the first Tails boss fight, Eggman. On Eggman 1, basically it's hold forward a little bit and spam the action button, either B or X. You fire missiles out of your little Vulcan cannon, and Eggman pretty much walks into them for the first 3 or 4 hits. 9-ball with a 13.2. Let's see if Tylenol can get a 12. 12 is possible, but if Eggman decides he doesn't want to, then sometimes he doesn't give it to you. 9-ball... Oh. An unfortunate AI for Tylenol. But Nineball is starting on the first Tails stage. Tails is not the free roaming character you may remember from Sonic Adventure 1. Tails is in a giant mech suit. Now, the mech controls, interestingly, it uses a lot of time, it loses a lot of speed, when it turns. So around corners, you're going to be watching the players jumping a lot of the time. Tails also has a very high jump, and you can use this jump to cut off a lot of the waiting portions of the stage. Like, for example, on this elevator, you could see Nineball jumping over the front wall of the elevator, so he doesn't have to wait for the wall to lower after he finishes. And you may see Tylenol go for the gate jump. See, jumping off of that gate and then onto the land above it actually skips having to wait for an elevator. Nineball is coming up to a second instance of the gate jump very soon. But yeah, a lot of the stage is just jumping around corners and using your homing attack, or your homing shot, excuse me, to defeat the enemies that need to be broken in order to have the doors open. Nineball shoots a couple enemies through the wall, very, very useful. And here comes Nineball on the second gate jump. Doesn't quite get it. The second one's very tricky because of how many more enemies are in the room. But Nineball's coming up on the ending gate to go through the goal ring. Tylenol hopping around some of the last corners, getting all the enemies through the door. I did not know you could actually go that early on the path to hit the enemies. And Tylenol does get the second gate jump. If you jump corners, you lose far less speed. The shorter the jump, the less speed you lose. Nineball starting off on Metal Harbor. You do not have to run on most of the loops in this game, and Metal Harbor is an excellent stage to show you just how many loops you can skip running up and around. Nineball using a well-timed spin dash jump to get around the set of homing attack enemies you would normally have to destroy in order to get across. And he picks up the light shoes, which allow him to light dash across lines of rings. Here he jumps around the loop to skip it, and jumps over the boost pad because Sonic can make the jump on his own. Nineball going for pulley skip, skipping one of the longer animations in the game of Sonic being pulled up by a handle. And also using storage, which lets him walk under normally somersault locked surfaces to save a little bit more time. Now he's skipping the section where you run around the rocket by just going to an angled surface and spin dashing up to the handle. Tylenol not doing pulley skip, opting instead for the loop skip. Pulley skip is a pretty ridiculous trick. I'm surprised I saw Nineball do it, but power to both of them. Tylenol going for the missile skip of his own, unfortunately missing his angle by a little bit. Gets it second try though, nicely done. And Nineball finishes with a 124 on Metal Harbor, not bad at all. Nineball is now going into the second Sonic boss fight, Shadow 1. Shadow 1 is an interesting boss because the same thing that lets Sonic walk under somersault barriers, kind of, called storage, you can use that to hit Shadow without actually making the game think you have a hitbox out. So basically, the reason that works is because if you hold the button somersault and spin dash are on the same button, and if you hold it for just long enough, the game isn't sure if you're going to somersault or spin dash. So it has the somersault hitboxes out, but it isn't sure if you should have them yet. So because of this, it changes how tall you are, and it changes if you're doing damage. But it doesn't tell the game that you're doing damage, and it doesn't tell Shadow to avoid it. As you can see, Nineball finished that stage faster than I could explain what storage is. And Tylenol appears to be looking to follow suit. As you can see, he just walks into Shadow, and Shadow takes damage.
So you're not just a hedgehog.
Yeah, very nice fight from both runners. 9 Ball about to start Green Forest. This stage is a very demanding one. A lot of little things that can save you a lot of time. That becomes a huge staple of Sonic stages. But this one is definitely, this is one of the first major run killers of this run. Going into the water at the end is just for swag, because normally it just kills you. There you see 9 Ball skipping the first loop. A lot more loop skips happening in Green Forest as well. Lots of little light dashes also to skip walking, because light dashing is the fastest form of movement as long as it doesn't throw you too far away. And 9 Ball missing the vine trigger, unfortunately. Sometimes the game isn't exactly sure where Sonic is, if he's going faster than they expect him to be, and they just don't give it to him. Tylenol making the first loop skip, the relative ease. 9 Ball going not for wall run, which is an incredibly difficult trick. I'd actually be surprised if either of them went for wall run, but going for a fast strategy all the same. Nine Ball now going for bungee skip, which instead of running around a loop to the side and watching a long cutscene where Sonic bungees with a vine, just kind of jumping over the whole ring. He also did another loop skip at the end so that he wouldn't have to run through that, and he's finishing Green Forest in 1:38. Not bad at all. Now you'll see the same skip from Tylenol, skipping the same bungee cutscene, and you can see the loop skip now. Oh, he didn't get his homing attack for some reason. Unfortunately, the homing attack is required to get enough distance to skip through the loop. Now 9 Ball is coming into the next RNG Knuckles stage, Pumpkin Hill. This stage is made out of 3 separate areas where emeralds can be: Ghost Train Mountain, Pumpkin Mountain, and Church Mountain. You also get the Shovel Claws power-up, which lets you dig through the ground. And 9 Ball is going right to Church Mountain so that he can take the shortcut rocket to put the top of Pumpkin Mountain, where 3-foot gap his first piece happens to be. Now, the game does not like to give you pieces that are too close together, so most of the time you will see 1 piece on Ghost Train, 1 piece on Church, and 1 piece on Pumpkin, but sometimes it doesn't quite calculate properly how far pieces are from each other, and you can use that to your advantage. So, for example, King of the Hill was very close to the Ghost Train piece that he had, and he doesn't actually get a piece on Church. Very solid Pumpkin Hill from 9 Ball. Tylenol having a very fast Pumpkin Hill. .36 from Tylenol. Tylenol's making up a lot of ground. The main thing about Knuckles stages in races like this is that the RNG can really help the player behind catch up, but also help the player ahead break away, depending on who gets better RNG. So Pumpkin Hill making up a little bit of the gap between 9 Ball and Tylenol. But 9 Ball is now going to be getting the first Tails power-up, the Booster. Now, the Booster is a very useful power-up because it lets Tails hover across short distances. But it can also be exploited, especially with a pause, as you just saw 9 Ball do, to gain more height than you're intended to get. Because of this, you can actually do very interesting things and skip sections the game doesn't intend you to skip. For example, hitting a missile and breaking a cage. Now, the reason pausing breaks hovering is because it's actually 2 pause buffered A inputs, because the faster you press A after you jump, the higher you hover. So you probably just saw 9 Ball jump over all of those metal cages. And Tylenol going for a bit of a music sync with his homing shot while he's waiting for the elevator to take him up. Yeah, and there's Tylenol paws hovering over the gates. 9-Ball does make a very early cycle and hits the Phoenix checkpoint, and now you can see one of the biggest cutoffs of Mission Street. You just kind of cut an entire corner off, which is very useful. You were not supposed to be able to do that, but you can hover high enough to do it. Oh, that's really unfortunate. Tylenol misses the weight hop and has to do the aptly mentioned walk of shame. I feel for him, though. Those weights can really not cooperate sometimes. And 9-Ball finishing up Mission Street, going into the only stage that happens once in the whole run, Route 101. Now, Route 101 is an interesting stage. Actually, I forgot about Aquatic Mine. We have another RNG Knuckle stage happening right now. How did I forget about Aquatic Mine? Aquatic Mine is a fun stage because it has the most free pieces visible in the opening cutscene. During this opening cutscene, you are looking for pieces in the 2 hexagons above the water switches, and you are looking for 3 pieces on top of or right in front of the fans of that just line the outside. So as you can see, 9-Ball just grabbing a piece in front of one of the fans that they noticed from the opening cutscene. Aquatic Mine sucks, that's why I forgot. Some people do not like it, but there is some interesting tech, like 9-Ball did a wall run up the wall a little bit ago. And there is also a clip out if you get a piece that's far away enough that you would need to clip out for it. But there's lots and lots of free pieces on Aquatic Mine, and 9-Ball getting a 28, which is very solid and very respectable. Now we're going into Route 101. Route 101 is a car stage. It isn't the only car stage of Hero Story. There is one similar to it in Dark Story. And what you're going to see is 9-Ball abusing drifting. So if you let go of the acceleration button and hold it again, after inputting a slight left or slight right input, you can drift. But the thing about drifting is they forgot to set the speed cap on it properly, so you can just kind of hold boost speed the entire time instead of being speed capped with the right movement type. A lot of players with custom music have Initial D related songs over Route 101. But the main tech about Route 101 is using boosts immediately after going up inclines so that you can hold speed for as long as possible and keep at top speed for as long as possible. You get a boost every 20 rings, but that can get offset by balloons, which offset the exact number on which the interval resets. This is one of the most consistent stages in the run, actually, I would say. As long as you maintain the proper ring route, you should be getting a time around 220 to 225 or lower if you're a very strong player. But yeah, as you can see, both players maintaining a boost for as long as they can and using it after steep inclines that aren't followed by steep declines immediately. 9-Ball actually has enough rings to use a boost immediately after hitting a car so that he doesn't have to adjust his route too much and still maintain top speed. 9-Ball coming up to the last straight of the level, going for the boost. Having top speed on this last section is the most important place of the run to have top speed because it is the longest time without a decline. And it can be very long if you do not boost beforehand.
Tails, did you find the president?
Nine Ball with a very solid 215. Very, very solid 215. Tylenol managing his rings appropriately. And we are now going into Hidden Base. Hidden Base is another difficult stage for newer runners, I would say. I would put it up there with Green Forest for, ooh. Sometimes it gets you. That's the reason it's difficult. Is sometimes it just gets you. There's a very difficult trick called GC skip that I'm not sure if Nine Ball is going to be attempting, but oh, he is. So the reason this is called GC skip is because it was originally only done on GameCube because of walls that do not exist on GameCube. But there was a way, it was found out, to do it on PC. And so Nine Ball is really very well flying through this stage. Tylenol also getting a very respectable 219 on Route 101 for those at home doing comparisons. Now, Nine Ball will go up this first pulley, and the mechanics of hover, where the faster you hover, the higher you go, are definitely very potent on the pulleys as well. Nine Ball showing that you can just jump over a lot of the barriers the game puts in your way if you jump high enough. Tylenol going for what's known as axle jump, which is not quite as doesn't quite cut off as much as GC skip, but definitely cuts off a respectable margin. Nine Ball phasing through walls that don't exist to get through faster. That skips having to shoot down 3 layered barricades. And that is a very well executed hidden base from Nine Ball, aside from the unfortunate first death. So very well played. Ooh, Pyramid Cave is one of the most difficult stages in the game. Like, the desert section can really be a gauntlet. But Pyramid Cave has a lot of different individual skips that build up. The first of which being Hourglass Jump, where we abuse how the game thinks Hourglass hitboxes should work, and skip a section. Next is the Super Jump besides the Chow Box, which you can use to gain so much height that you just skip a loop, as well as skipping a switch door. Now coming up, we're going to get the Bounce Bracelet and the first instance of a Super Jump, or a Super Bounce, excuse me, in which you spin dash into a wall and bounce as soon as you come close to the wall, and the game decides that all of your momentum should be transferred up, and you can go very high. Nine Ball going for the second door skip. Very well executed. You line up on the platform and you basically phase through collision because the game wasn't exactly sure what where the right side of the door should be. Nine Ball going for kind of a loop skip. I guess that's the closest thing to a loop skip that you can do on that loop, because it sets up for that little spin dash jump off the side of the next loop. Tylenol also getting the Hourglass Jump, very well done. Going into the Bounce Bracelet, gets the Super Bounce, very well done. And Nine Ball with an excellent Pyramid Cave. Tylenol approaching the second door skip. And he first. A very special Ghost AI manip. If you noticed, a Ghost actually grabbed Nine Ball while he was lining up for the second door skip. but Tylenol took an interesting line around that catches the ghost on a downwards incline for reasons unknown. 9-Ball picking up the first upgrade of Death Chamber. Death Chamber is probably the longest Knuckle stage in the game, despite the fact that it's not the last one, because it's just so spread out. There are a lot of different there are 3 different rooms: green, red, and blue, and paths between each of them. And then there's a core in the middle, which each of the rooms have a path to. And then there's a secret in a secret in blue, a secret in red-blue, and a secret in red-green. So there are a lot of places where pieces can be on this level. Unfortunately, missing the key the first try. The hitboxes on the keys and emerald pieces in this game are rather small. 9-Ball actually doing a death strategy because he got an undesirable piece that is very common on Death Chamber. It's actually kind of funny. The namesake of Death Chamber does come true, as it is the stage where the most lives are lost in high-level runs, because players will just reset for poor pieces if they take too long to get to or there's not a good clip. 9-Ball finishing up with Death Chamber. A 126 or 128, sorry, is a pretty solid time. Or is that a 126? Oh man, my eyes are not working today. Definitely one of the hardest stages, or the hardest Knuckle stage to A rank, according to game standards. Tylenol finishing with a 106, and this is a shining example of Knuckle stages catching up gaps between racers. 9-Ball is now starting King Boom Boo much less ahead of Tylenol than he was Death Chamber because of the 40-second difference in RNG.
Huh? Who's there? What the?
9-Ball does not appear to be going for... there is a skip on King Boom Boo. It's pretty ridiculous and pretty weird. You dig behind him and you can get the light to shine early. But 9-Ball is instead going for the 1 cycle on this boss. If you played it casually, I'm sure very likely it took you 4 or 5 cycles to turn the light on and then hit the boss. But 9-Ball making quick and easy work, 45 seconds. Tylenol now going for the exact same 1 cycle, while 9-Ball gets the first Egg Golem Super Bounce. Super Bouncing is a trick, again, used by spin dashing up to a wall and then bouncing as soon as you hit it and having the game transfer all of your momentum up. But it's very important on Egg Golem because otherwise you have to climb on his back and wait for him to stop attacking, and it's very long. Like it can be a very long boss if you're not super bouncing. Tylenol continuing to make up ground on 9-Ball in the Egg Golem fight. Getting a backup from the super bounce, not quite connecting with his head, and taking the back of the back path. Getting a hit when the Egg Golem slams his hands on the ground is another good time for a hit, and Tylenol is making up as much ground as he can. This race has never been closer. Starting Eternal Engine, we have a... this is the last tail stage of the run, and it has a skip that skips, I believe, 45 seconds to a minute. And basically what it is you clip out of the level geometry, and we'll see it soon. But up until that point, this stage is a lot of jumping around corners and jumping into the part of the door that removes itself first. So we're going to be seeing that coming up. Both of these racers with solid tails movement. 9ball waiting for the rocket to show up before he flattens it with his foot. And then he gets 2 pause hover jumps over in order to get onto the next platform. Tylenol immediately behind him. Depending on if either of these runners miss first try EE skip, this could be dead even. 9ball getting an unfortunate cycle, but getting not too sidetracked by it. 9ball lines up for the EE skip. The door does not open for 9ball. The door opening is a very crucial part of the skip working. The door is still not opening for 9ball. Tylenol gets the clip out first try. Tylenol is now in the lead. 9ball very shortly behind him. This is a race, ladies and gentlemen. This is a race. Now, basically, the end of this Eternal engine that's being skipped over is a lot of platforming, followed by a straight down fall tube that ends the run, or ends the level. And so basically EE skip falls through the collision, and now you can just fly on the outside to where the goal ring is at the end of the level. 9ball has better out-of-world movement and beats Tylenol despite getting a later clip out. Unbelievable. 9ball pulls right back ahead of where he was once behind. Meteor Herd is going to be pivotal in who wins this race. Meteor Herd being the last Knuckles RNG stage of the run. We're going to have to see what happens here, ladies and gentlemen. This is exciting. 9ball starting off on Meteor Herd. Near a moon with a rotating beacon. That piece is not incredibly far away. Above a blue moon in front of a tank. Unbelievable. 9ball's first piece right beside a hit monitor. Twin Stars is not that far away. And by not that far away, I of course mean all the way down on the ground. 9ball now has 2 pieces to Tylenol's 1. This could be huge. 9ball with great execution and RNG on Meteor Herd. 35 seconds. Tylenol's got a lot of ground to make up again. But a lot of that ground can be made up depending on if either of them mess up any of the boss fights on the end of the run. Rouge, especially being an interesting boss. A lot of Rouge is the handstands of justice, as they're called, in which you drill dive immediately on Rouge's face. Tylenol finishing up Meteor Herd with this last piece. And 9ball getting into the Rouge fight. The first hit of Rouge is pretty standard. You do a neutral hover into a drill dive immediately on top. And as you can see, 9ball is just jumping and drill diving, putting out as many hitboxes as he can and getting a very respectable 15-second Rouge fight. Crazy Gadget is a very difficult stage. Honestly, most stages in this game at a top level are difficult, and you have been seeing some pretty top level play this run. 9ball using a super bounce to skip having to change the gravity back and getting sucked into the tube. That glass can be finicky. If you don't hit that glass first try, sometimes it really just does not want to hit. Tylenol also getting a pretty solid Rouge fight in 18. Now it looks like 9ball is going to be going for CGS, which skips a great portion of Crazy Gadget by... Oh, he hits the... Oh, that's unfortunate. Dying on CGS can happen by simply getting caught up in the electric goop, as I like to call it. But 9ball does get it second try. How many stages per character are in this run? Knuckles has 5 stages. Sonic has... I believe Sonic has 6 stages, and Tails has 4. Nineball getting unfortunate collision interaction on CGS. This could be another opportunity for Tylenol to make up ground. That artificial chaos there can be very difficult to interact with. But Tylenol now coming up very close to where Nineball was. Nineball clipping through collision, hoping to get directly to the goal ring. Let's see if his alignment's proper. And it is. Nineball with a pretty solid 127 on Crazy Gadget. Oh my, that was a loud explosion. And Tylenol is well on his way to hopefully finish with a similar time, if not a better time. Tylenol needs to make this ground up. Nineball going into Eggman 2. No. Tylenol, nice, 124. But Eggman 2, there is an AI manip for it, but it's very difficult and very challenging. Let's see if he goes for it. No, he's just gonna fight it the way he always has, which is very... This is a difficult fight. So whichever way you can beat it is probably the best way, as long as unless you're talking about in terms of like single-digit seconds. But a 17 Eggman fight is very good, considering how horribly things can go. Dr. Eggman is relentless in his cannon shots. Tylenol going for the AI manip, unfortunately missing the homing attack shot. But Eggman is showing his super I'm a firing Malazar, and Tylenol pause hovering over it, but not quite making it. Yeah, Eggman has a lot of stuff that he can do, and Nineball is going right into Final Rush Skip. Final Rush Skip is very interesting because it's about maneuvering around kill planes and not getting hit by them, because a lot of the stage is open and they can't just load and render kill zones forever. Maneuvering around where the kill planes are in the stage is a huge portion of it. And Nineball, it looks like his alignment is good. You should see the stage start to come into focus not too far off from now. And in that time, while we're waiting for Nineball to fall, we're going to see Tylenol's attempt. Tylenol coming up. The stage starting to load in for Nineball as Tylenol approaches the rail. Ooh, he doesn't get on the rail. He goes for what looks to be a backup. Fingers crossed it's good. And Nineball does get Final Rush first try, a 122. Nineball coming into the final boss of this game, which is Shadow 2, which you cannot unfortunately exploit by walking into them. Tylenol making the turn left to avoid the kill plane and still make it onto the goal ring. Let's hope this alignment works out well. And Nineball going for the quick kill on Shadow, which is basically you homing attack on Shadow until his jump homing attack runs out, because the little yellow aura around him prevents him from being damaged. Nineball with a 38.59 and Tylenol unfortunately hitting the edge of the kill plane. He's going for Final Rush Skip again. Now, one crucial difference between Tylenol and Nineball's Final Rush Skip, as you might notice, is that Nineball went for a bounce version, and Tylenol is not using the bounce bracelet. You can tell which version they're going for by whether or not you can see Sonic's hands and feet. When Nineball was going for it, Sonic was just a ball, and Tylenol is a fully exposed Sonic. Now, the difference is you can see Sonic's hands and use them as an alignment for if you're going for bounceless. I'm not actually entirely sure how you're supposed to align with the bounce variant, but all in all, Tylenol's second attempt looking hopefully promising. The level collision, or not the level collision, but the textures of the walls should be coming back in about 5 seconds. Oh, now. All right. This could be close. The kill planes are vicious on this stage. They do not want you skipping this far. And he gets it with a 127-27. Tylenol now going into a Shadow 2 of his own. We're going to see how that pans out for him. Also, geez, wow, 38.59 from 9-ball. Very respectable time. Yeah, the skips in this game are crazy. Yep, Tylenol going for the same shadow strategy, tried and true. The falling platform may interfere a little bit, and Tylenol gets it. A 1760. 4108 from Tylenol. Good race. An incredible performance from both players. Honestly, getting time so close to their PBs is not very easy to do under stream conditions. The spaghetti does get to you.
Awesome job, Tails.
But yeah,
Look outside.
the world record for Sonic Adventure 2 Hero Story is 34:49. Well, I hope everybody in chat enjoyed watching this race as much as I enjoyed commentating it and watching it for myself. Yeah, sub 35 has definitely never happened on marathons before. It's a very demanding run. A lot of things can go wrong, and we saw some pretty sweet performances from the runners that we saw today. Considering how high the margin for error is in this game, I'm very impressed with both runners, and I'm looking forward to see more of group stages and especially bracket. So thank you very much for coming out to watch. I've been Stellar. You just watched Tylenol versus 9-ball on Speed Gaming, and thank you for coming out. If you do want to check out more Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, there are links all over our speedrun.com page, which is speedrun.com/SA2B. This is a very fun game. Lots of different strats, lots of room for improvement, and lots of room for the world record to be continually lowered if you can get that good of a run. An underrated credits song, if I'm going to be honest, and it's cut off. But yeah, thanks for coming out.